Hello. Hey guys, and welcome, internet friends and fellow movie lovers. Glad to have you. So today, as you can tell from the title, I am going to be doing a ranking of the 10 films that are nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, which are premiering on Sunday, March 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, I meant to put this video out earlier this week, but to be honest, I watched 2 of these films yesterday that I just hadn't had a chance / had been putting off. Didn't get to them. It's been a busy week. I started a new job on Monday, which more on that in another video, but I've been overwhelmed. So I'm just now putting this out. I also plan on putting out in quick succession my award season thoughts, what I think is going to happen at the Oscars, my predictions, some other topics to do with the Oscars. I was going to do it all in one video, but there's just no way. Like, it would be an hour long, and it would be an hour long. I'm not going to do that to you guys or to myself. So we're going to do it in two parts. So today, I'm just doing my personal ranking of the Best Picture nominees. Now, this is not my predictions. This is not who I think is going to win, or even necessarily who I want to win the award. This is purely me as a movie lover and watcher, as an audience member, as a viewer. Which film is my favorite, was my favorite to watch, to least favorite to watch? And I've talked about a couple of these films on this channel already. A couple of them were in my favorite films of 2024 video that I put out. But yeah, we're gonna talk about them. If I can remember, I'll tell you kind of where I saw them, like whether it was in theaters or streaming at home or whatever, and kind of a little bit of my reasoning. There's likely going to be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen one of these 10 films, just know there might be some spoilers, but it is what it is. So you might have differing opinions from me. I'm sure that you do. Please communicate them with me in the comments, as long as you're kind, respectful, all of that fun stuff. Don't bully me, because I'll delete your comment. We're just having fun. I've got my A24 hat on. And let's do it. The lighting situation, everything's kind of weird today, but we're making it rock. So let's start with number 10. Starting at the bottom. This is by far my least favorite film on the list. I bet you have already guessed what it is. It's Emilia, Pérez. There's really only 2 films on this list that I didn't like. My 10 and my 9, I did not enjoy. I don't like these films, but 1 through 8, solid. All good movies, according to me. Okay, 10, Emilia, Pérez. I don't think there's much that needs to be said about it that everybody and their mother, brother, cousin, auntie, uncle hasn't already said. It's an absolute mess. I never would have even finished the film, I don't think, if it wasn't for it having the nominations that it has. And I'm not a musical hater, okay? I actually tend to like musicals. This was a nightmare. It was silly. It was ridiculous. I thought most of the acting performances were a nightmare, not believable. Just, I didn't have a good time. I didn't have a good time watching this. Did not. So, plus now it has the scandal. Not you guys seeing that I'm wearing pajamas. It's had the scandal. But for a while it was a front runner in the race, which was really frustrating and stressful for a lot of people because nobody wanted to see Emilia Pérez win Best Picture. Nobody wanted that. So thank God it's not going to happen. You know? Okay. And I will link my Letterboxd below, but I gave this guy 1 star on Letterboxd. Literally one star. So okay, next, my number 9. This is controversial, okay, but also I feel like most of these films are pretty well regarded, so maybe not. My number 9 is a movie I really did not enjoy, and that is Nickel Boys. Hear me out. Please do not choo-choo with your hate train. Loved the story, okay? There were some really cool acting performances. I was so unsettled and not enjoying that it was shot in POV for the entire film. What was that? Like, I know people were talking about it, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I like a POV scene here or there. The whole film was shot in POV. It, like, made me dizzy. I don't understand that choice. I do not understand that choice. And for me, like, it made it so hard to watch. I had to watch it in parts because I was like, I am sick of this. Like, it made it hard for me to follow the story. Maybe I'm being simple-minded, and I'm definitely in the minority here, but, like, it 100% just, like, it overshadowed so much of the beauty of the story and of the characters. Like, it was not a pleasant viewing experience. I actually watched this one yesterday. It was one of the last ones. It's been scarcely available in theaters, and up until a couple days ago, it had only been available to purchase on a streaming service for $20, and then it became available to rent for $6, so I did that. But I was like, I am not spending $20 to watch a movie, not even in the theaters. Insane. So I was able to watch it yesterday. I don't understand how anybody enjoys the format and that type of filming style. I could not wrap my brain around it. It was not enjoyable to me in any way, shape, or form. So even though it was a great story, a really cool ending, I did like the sort of different, like, montage shots and things throughout. But I just had such a hard time connecting because I hated that POV, and I feel like I could have connected to the story so much more if I could see them, if I could see the characters as they were speaking and see, like, their facial expressions with each other. It just was so... I don't want to watch a film shot entirely in POV ever again in my life. It's not for me. So that's my 9 and 10. Sorry, Nickel Boys. I'm in the minority, and I know that. And that's okay. Just didn't get it. Okay. My number 8. It's crazy because, like, my bottom 5 were easy, and then my top 5 were really hard to order. But my number 8 is The Substance. So, first of all, and I'll talk more about this in my awards season video that I'll probably put out within 24 hours of this one, but I love that a horror film is nominated for Best Picture. It's only happened a handful of times in the 90 plus years that the Oscars have been going on, so I'm happy about that. But The Substance, I saw it in theaters, and it just wasn't for me. It's not my type of horror. There were so many aspects of it I loved, obviously, like the performances, and there were some scenes that I was really into, like obviously like the bathroom mirror scene was really captivating and just haunting. I don't really like body horror, and I felt like with this runtime, it was so... The film is so intense, and it never lets up. The viewer never gets a break or like a chance to kind of breathe and ease into the next thing. Like, the whole film is like, there's no like peaks and valleys. It's just like I'm like, feel like it's, you know, it's like an assault on my senses for 2+ hours. And it was beautiful in a lot of ways. I could really appreciate the directing. The story and the concept was really interesting. But I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. I don't feel that I need to watch it again. I think it's beautiful. I can appreciate it as art and understand, like, wow, that was incredible. But for me personally, I don't want to see it ever again. Thank you. Thank you. So that's why The Substance is my number 8. I gave this, I didn't say. I gave Nickel Boys a 2.5 star on Letterboxd, and The Substance I gave a 3 star, which is like a good rating for me. And I will say every other film on this list I gave 4 stars, just for the record. So that's my number 8 is The Substance. Okay. Number 7, I also watched yesterday. I watched this one last night. Stayed up way too late. So I'm kind of going through it today, exhausted. Last night, from the comfort of my own home, I watched Dune 2, which is my number 7. So I just watched the first Dune film like 2 weeks ago for the first time. I tried to read Dune earlier this year, or in 2024. I got like 300 plus pages into it and I just had to give it up. I am not into sci-fi. It's really hard for me to kind of like sit through the world building and the exposition, and like I am more of like a character study, a slice of life drama or literary fiction type of reader and viewer. Fantasy and sci-fi are really difficult for me to get into. I have to feel really connected to the characters in order to kind of like put up with that world building and exposition type of deal. Dune 1, I think I watched it in like over 5 days. It was really hard for me to get through. I really didn't like it. It really wasn't for me. I was like, okay, so we're just like watching them in the sand speak in a different language. Like, there was not a connection for me. However, Dune 2, miles better, in my opinion. I didn't say, sorry. I'm all over the place. For my Letterboxd rating, Dune 2 is a 3.5, not a 4. Just wanted to make that clear because it is still sci-fi. It was still like a little bit difficult. There were definitely some bits throughout that felt a little slow and were kind of like tough for me, but I think Timothée Chalamet, incredible in this. He really like takes on that kind of like masculine leader role that I feel like we've not really gotten to see from him in any of his other films. I haven't seen every work that he's been in, but with everything that I've seen, this felt like a totally new kind of performance from him. Zendaya obviously is fantastic. And Austin Butler, okay, icon. Why was he still kind of hot even with no eyebrows? Hello? So that was crazy. And also, I just want to make this comment, again, spoilers. Watching Bob Dylan murder Elvis on a desert planet, make sense. That was crazy. I get why everybody's talking about set design and sound design and all of the technical nominations for Dune. I thought this one was a lot more visually stunning. We got a lot more variety with setting and colors, and we got a little bit more of that like love story with Paul and Shawnee, which I loved. I just felt like this was like a really well-rounded film, and even for somebody who is not into Dune and not into sci-fi, I still really enjoyed it. And so I feel like that really speaks volumes to how great of an achievement it really is. If I can enjoy a genre film in a genre that I really don't like, I just feel like that really says something. And so I totally understand why all of the sci-fi lovers and the Doonies are over the moon. Over the moon. Because there's planets. Okay. Over the moon for Dune. Over the moon for Dune. And yeah, I feel like Timothée Chalamet could have been nominated for Best Actor for Dune. So I liked Dune too. It surprised me. I can't believe I liked it. It was worth staying up for last night. I did not plan to stay up and watch the whole thing in one go last night, but here we are. Okay. Next, my number 6 is Wicked. So, Wicked was so much fun. I get like why people are criticizing it and talking about like the lighting, and you know, I agree with all that. And I talked a lot more in depth about Wicked in a previous video, so I'm not gonna harp too much on it, but it was so fun to watch. I was so enamored. I saw it in the theater a couple of times. The performances were awesome. They just really brought the story that I already know and love in musical form, like in the stage musical form, to life on the screen. I can't wait for part 2. I wish we could get it in like the spring or something. We'd have to wait a whole year for it, but I loved it. I had fun. You know, the Defying Gravity sequence, the 20+ minute sequence at the end, is obviously like the best piece. I thought Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande had this gorgeous chemistry that just like really worked and really carried the film. The costumes were beautiful. There was so much to look at. I just had a really good time. I had a really good time with Wicked. And while I think my top 5 films are like clearly better objectively than Wicked, and subjectively obviously they're better for me, like a lot of these films I guess would be considered like better than Wicked, but I had fun, and that matters a lot, like having fun while you're watching a movie. And the runtime for me flew by, which is hard to do when you have a film that's 2.5 hours long and it's a part 1. But I have some gripes with the talking animals. Shout out Amanda Dobbins from the Big Picture Pod. We agree on that, but I like Wicked, and I think it deserves a lot of the nominations that it has. So there's my bottom 5, and now let's move into my top 5, which was significantly harder to order. Okay, I stepped away for a moment, so it might look different. So let's get into my top 5. My top 3 was the real difficult, like, to order them, but I knew what my top 5 were, because for me there's a clear separation in, like, there's a big jump from my number 6 to my top 5. And so at number 5 I have Conclave. So I saw Conclave in theaters, and actually I saw all of these in theaters. Maybe, I wonder if that explains the jump. No. Never mind. I saw the rest of these in theaters, and I've only seen these all once except my number 1. Nobody cares about that except me, but just throwing it out there. My number 5 is Conclave. So I talked about this in a prior video, so I'm not going to go too into depth on my thoughts, but I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed Conclave. I didn't know much about it. I knew it was something with the Pope and the Catholic Church, and I knew Ralph Fiennes and Stanley Tucci, so I'm like, okay, this will be good, but I had no idea that it was going to be like a big awards contender, or that there was going to be, like, I kind of thought it was going to be boring. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be boring, and it was going to feel like a typical period piece, which isn't really my jam. No. These gossipy motherfuckers. I was so entertained through the entire Conclave process. It actually surprised me so much how much I enjoyed this film. Now, I don't think, like, I've not thought about it much since seeing it, and I would like to rewatch it in the near future. I will say that, like, to me, no standout performances, like Ralph Fiennes being nominated for Best Actor, sure, but I, like, other than the adapted screenplay, which is pretty much a lock for Conclave at this point, and the set design, nothing is a standout about this. Like, none of the characters really, or not none of the characters, I'm sorry. None of the actors for me were particularly memorable in what they pulled off here, but the character development and the writing and the plot were so interesting to me. I was really invested in the characters and in the outcome till the very end. Even like the side characters and the little sort of subplots and the different like potential popes, like different candidates. Like every time one of those candidates got kind of knocked out of the race, I was interested in their backstory, and I just kept wanting the why. And I just felt like Conclave really kind of wrapped everything up in a bow for us and kind of delivered what we needed. It kept a really consistent pace. It wasn't boring. It's just a good movie. And I also feel like it's really palatable for all types of audiences. It doesn't poke fun at Catholicism, but it also doesn't preach it. It feels just informative, and I can't say if it's authentic. I'm not Catholic myself. I don't know much about the Pope process. I'm not informed on religion, but it was just good. It takes you there, and I had a really good time. Okay. For my number 4, I have I'm Still Here. I'm Still Here. This one was a pretty recent watch. I saw it in the theaters earlier this week. Wow. First of all, I didn't know what it was about. I knew that it had like a political kind of thing. And I knew obviously that it took place in Brazil. I did not expect it to be such a beautiful portrait of loss and this interesting family dynamic, and growing older and change and personal relationships and struggle and challenges. And I didn't expect it to be so kind of jam-packed full of these really interesting human kind of ideas. I also saw it in like a pretty packed theater, which was awesome. To see so many people like come out to see a completely subtitled non-English film. Like, I mean, I know it has all this Oscars buzz, but it still was just it was just really cool to see in my like Midwestern city. Like a bunch of old people coming to watch a Brazilian like subtitled film. I don't know. I thought it was cool. Fernanda Torres absolutely deserves that nomination. She's so incredible in this. Every acting performance was really incredible here. And I also thought the casting choices of like the children and then them as adults was really convincing and beautiful. This was such like a captivating, emotional, intense story that I just thought it was really beautiful. I just thought it was really beautiful. I'm sad that I waited so long to see it because there was so much going on that I would have liked to have seen it twice during this season. So I wish it would have been more accessible earlier. But yeah, I really liked I'm Still Here, and just kind of what it had to say and the sort of timing of it. It was just a really beautiful story that I feel really connected to, and I would recommend it to anyone. So that was that. Now my top 3. Now I will just say, like, you could ask me tomorrow, you could even ask me later today, and I might change the order of this top 3. To me, like, all 3 of these, I mean, at this point you know what the 3 are because they're the 3 left. I would put them all neck and neck as equally great. All three of them have their weaknesses and their strengths to me. As you know, I've talked about this in a past video, but I will just lay it out here. My top 3 films of 2024 are Challengers, A Real Pain, and Sing Sing. So to me, those are all 5-star films. These are 4-star films. To me, I would have loved to see Challengers, A Real Pain, and Sing Sing in here. We've got some Real Pain nominations that I think are really solid. We've got a couple Sing Sing nominations. Again, I'll talk about that in my Oscars video. But that's what I wanted to see here. So I just want to make that clear. With that being said, my number 3 is, as of now, a complete unknown. Saw this in theaters on New Year's Day. Wow. So I didn't know anything about Bob Dylan. I just didn't really know him like that. And fun fact, this was my first Timothée Chalamet film. No, well, I'd seen Lady Bird, but this was my first, Timothée Chalamet as a lead actor film. I've since seen 5 Timothée Chalamet films this year. 4 or 5. But Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan, and the way that he transformed his voice and learned to play guitar and learned to sing and just embodied this very real life person, I think is so notable, so impressive. I think it's just such an achievement. I also thought Monica Barbaro, she also learned to sing for this role. Ed Norton. I just Scoot McNairy. It's Scoot McNairy, right? I thought were great. I did think Elle Fanning was literally could have been cast by she could have been anyone else and it would have been the same, to be honest. But some really, really great performances. Timothée Chalamet is so impressive. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the story. A lot of people have criticisms about this. People are tired of biopics. They also feel like this was kind of one note. I don't agree. I felt really captured. This is, again, somebody who I wasn't even a fan of prior. I am now. I was really captured. I kept catching myself wanting to Google things, wanting to check, accuracy or time periods or those types of things, and I didn't. I just kind of watched it and took it for what it was. But I just really, really loved and felt captured by this film. I did feel the runtime a little bit kind of drag, but at the same time I was left wanting more. I wanted to keep following his journey. I really like this, and I really think that Timothée Chalamet is deserving of some serious recognition. And he's getting it, but really impressive. This is a really impressive film to me. My number 2... yeah, I'm going to just stick with what I have written down. See, I'm waffling. I'm waffling. My number 2, I'm going to say, is Brutalist. Here's the thing. I think the first act of The Brutalist is absolutely perfect. The first act of The Brutalist, if it just stood alone, would be one of the best pieces of media that I've ever consumed. I was so deeply enthralled through all of part 1. I mean, I think I just sat there in a packed theater on opening night. It was so stunning. The cinematography, the score, this sort of hero's journey, the performances. I was just so in it. I was so in it. And then the second act just... I couldn't believe it. And really sort of the third act, I guess the last hour maybe just, completely ruined it for me. And I don't want to say ruined, obviously, but I just mean in comparison to that first half, it's really, really hard when you have such a solid, like, incredible start to keep that pace and to keep that. And I know I'm not alone in this. I've heard a lot of other people talk about their issues with the second half, and I'm not going to gripe on it too much, but yeah, I just think some of the story choices that they took didn't really land for me. I had a lot of issues. I had some issues with Laszlo and Elizabeth, that's her name, yeah. I had a lot of issues with sort of their relationship dynamic, and I don't really get the casting of Felicity Jones. To me, something felt kind of off about her and her chemistry with Adrian Brody. I would have maybe chosen someone else, I don't know who, but to me that didn't feel totally authentic, and I think that's part of it too, of we didn't have any of her in the first half, and so I think the first half to me just felt more like, I don't know, I was so immersed in that first half that, like, I'm willing to forgive so much of what happened in the second half because I love the first so much, and I really need to watch this film again and get to experience that first act again without the expectations that I had going into the second act, if that makes sense. Beautiful score, beautiful just design, story, characters, performances. Guy Pearce is fantastic in this. Joe Alwyn is a little sniveling frickin' snake. He ate it up. But I really love The Brutalist, and I'm hoping to get some recognition on Sunday. We'll see. Again, I'll talk about that in my next video, but okay. Let's move on from that. At this point, you guys already know my number one, my favorite of the Oscar noms for Best Picture is Anora. Anora. Which could win. I don't know. Anora. I just rewatched Anora a week or so ago. I saw it, like I said, in theaters opening night, and again, I've talked at length about Anora on this channel before. I just had such a great time watching it. Mikey Madison obviously is fantastic. I thought all of the supporting male performances were great, not just Yuri Borisov, although he's got the nomination, but all of them, all of the sort of henchmen, so to speak, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the actor's name. I can't remember the other actor's name. Oh no. Yvonne. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. But I love Sean Baker. I'm a huge fan of Red Rocket, and I love the Florida Project as well. Not so big on Tangerine, but so I knew I would love this because it's Sean Baker. My one criticism, if I'm gonna give one out, is that there was a piece where it did kind of drag, but otherwise the pacing is pretty good. There's a lot of really fun comedic timing in this, both physical comedy and just like some really witty lines and some great delivery, especially by Mikey Madison. And the club scenes and sort of the dancer bits, like I just loved this, and like the soundtrack choices I thought were really fun. A lot of the songs got stuck in my head, and just this character study of Annie as a character, I felt really connected to her in a lot of ways, not on the surface types of ways, but just like in her sort of inner workings and her sort of strength and resilience and this sort of hard exterior that she puts up. and just the relationships and the ending and just sort of the journey of this story. I really enjoyed the sort of tense, like chase adventure type of aspects. Reminded me a lot of films like Uncut Gems, of Good Time. I'm trying to think of another one. I don't know. And obviously it shared a lot of similarities in certain kinds of ways with Sean Baker's other works, which was really cool to see them connect, but to see him continue to kind of grow as a director and have this bigger budget. And like, I'm just really pleased with Anora. And I had such high expectations that I didn't like. Again, I gave it 4 stars. So it wasn't like as... I just had this expectation in my mind that I was gonna like be obsessed with it and it was gonna be my new favorite film, and it wasn't anything like that, but I did really enjoy it. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. But that's my ranking. So again, in ranking order from bottom to top: Emilia, Pérez at 10, Nickel Boys at 9, The Substance at 8, Dune Part 2 at 7, Wicked at 6, Conclave at 5, I'm Still Here at 4, A Complete Unknown at 3, The Brutalist at 2, and Anora as my number 1. So definitely let me know below in the comments like what your ranking is, what you thought of these films. I'm really anxious to know if you've seen them all. Like, let's chat about it. And then I'll be filming later today just a sort of general award season and Oscars predictions kind of discussion. It's gonna be another ramble just like this one. It might be up by the time you're watching this, so go check that out. And once Oscar seasons are over, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, so let me know what you guys want to see from me next. I hope that you are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.